And now, for the week of November 28th, Photoshop TV is on the air.
Welcome to Photoshop TV from the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. And here's your hosts, the Photoshop guys, Scott Kelby, Dave Cross, and Matt Kloskowski.
Welcome to another episode of Photoshop TV, produced by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. This episode is brought to you by Wacom, makers of the new Intuos 6x11 widescreen graphics tablet. Also by iStock Photo, the fastest growing royalty-free collection in the world. And our new sponsor, Digital Lifestyle Outfitters. They are the makers of the amazing new Home Dock for the iPod and the iPod Nano. In fact, I just happen to have their box here in my hand of their brand new product. It actually lets you connect your iPod and your iPod Nano to your television or your stereo, depending on whether you're looking at pictures or music. Hey, that's them. Okay, I'm here with Matt Kloskowski.
Good day, everybody.
I'm Scott Kelby, and we're coming to you live from the graphics department at the National Association of Photoshop Professionals, where they produce things like Photoshop User Magazine.
That is a cool magazine.
This is so cool. Do you know why this magazine is so cool?
I know why.
Because Matt writes for this magazine.
It's
That's
the only
right.
one that they'll let me write
It's the
for.
only magazine in the world they'll let Matt write for. So, hey, we've got a lot of cool stuff in this show. We've got an action-packed 30-minute show today, and it's packed with really cool stuff. We've got tutorials, we've got tips, we've got news.
We've got a contest.
We do. We are giving away a Spider 2 Pro Studio, courtesy of our friends at Color Vision, and
The winner from
a DVD.
And a DVD, yeah.
A DVD, a very special DVD we'll tell you about later. But you're probably wondering,
Where's Dave Cross?
where's Dave Cross?
Cross.
We're in the missing man formation. There is no Dave Cross today. Where the Photoshop guys are incomplete.
Take a bow of silence.
Where is Dave Cross?
Dave Cross is in San Francisco this week. He's teaching a class, or is
He's teaching Photoshop, yes.
Whoa.
He's teaching, no, he's teaching people in the state penitentiary there. Anyway, but he's teaching Photoshop to a wide range. Our producer's like, no, cut. No, we're not cutting. We're going on. You're right, it was wrong to say that.
Dave Cross would want you to know what he's teaching.
Yeah, Dave Cross wants you to know the truth. The truth must be told. Anyway, we've got lots of cool stuff. Now, and we're going to start off with a tip. We're going to start off with a Photoshop tip right away, immediately, right off the bat. I know you want to find out who won last week's Wacom tablet, but no, we're going to make you wait because we're going to do the tip. Now, the tip requires me to take the magazine that is covering my keyboard off before I start. That must be done before we start the tip. Now, this tip is for people using Photoshop CS2, because Adobe slid a little thing in there that a lot of people don't realize is there, and that's why it's cool. It's because a lot of people don't realize it's there. That's why it's called a tip. All right, it's a tip. Let me go ahead and open up Photoshop first. That's always a good place to start it. Good Photoshop tips start inside Photoshop. All right, we're going to look at how to tweak the history palette just a little to give you a little bit more control. Here's how it's done. All right, first, we're going to go ahead and make some changes here in the layers palette. So let's say, we have this text down here for Photoshop TV. Let's hide that. All right, then let's go to this layer number 3, right? And what I'm doing is basically, I'm just going to make some changes here so we can go to the history palette and see what the trick is. So let's go to levels. We'll bring up levels here. I'm going to darken this layer here a little bit, make this layer a little darker, right? Okay, and then we'll go over to this layer and we'll just move the logo around a little bit, yeah, like this. And if you're wondering, is that photo he's using from iStockPhoto.com? Yes, it is. Okay, sorry. And then we'll move the text. We're going to make it visible again and move it up here. And then I'm going to hide that and we're going to lighten this a little bit. Okay, so you see I did a number of moves here, right? Okay, now go to the history palette. Now, as you know, the history palette keeps track of the last 20 things that you've done. So let's zoom in so you can see really good. Keeps track of the last 20 things that you've done. So you can see I opened the image and I applied levels and I moved it and stuff. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move this. Let me zoom back out. I'm going to move this palette out of the way a little bit. And then I'm going to back up a couple of steps. So there's the little levels move. Then it moves the TV. And then it goes back to here. And I'm basically back where I opened it. but my text is gone. That's the thing. You saw me turn off the text layer. You saw me move it, but as I undo, it doesn't bring back the text layer. In other words, it's not keeping track of when I turn layers on or off, and no version of Photoshop ever has until Photoshop CS2. You can change one thing in the history, and now it will keep track of when you turn layers on and off, so you really get real undos all the way. So let me show you how you do that. Go to the History palette, and from the History palette's pop-down menu, you're going to choose History Options. When History Options opens, let me zoom in so you can see it crazy big, you're going to do right here, make Layer Visibility Changes undoable. And what that means is not that they can't be undone, but that you can actually get undos for them. I know it sounds it's worded kind of weird. So we're going to click right there, make layer visibility changes undoable. So now when you hide a layer or show a layer, it will actually show in the layers palette as a move. For example, let me just demonstrate that if I may. Let's go ahead and make the text visible again. This time we're going to move it down. It's nice, it helps if you click on the right layer. There we go. We're just going to move it down a little bit. Matt didn't comment, I'm glad. Because usually Matt jumps in there and says, nice move or something like that, but he didn't, and that's why I love him. Okay, so now we'll click over here and we'll hide this layer for just a minute.
Nice move.
There we go, thank you. I was expecting something like that. So anyway, go ahead and take a look at the History palette, and you can now see layer visibility. It now tracks every time you turn on or off a layer. So if you ever have to do undos, they actually undo. So that is my amazing semi-known, little-known little tip there for the History palette. But I'm not the only guy with tips. No, Matt just came back from Japan just this week where he was teaching and he was stealing tips apparently at the same time. So Matt's got a tip. Matt, what do you got?
Well, yes, Scott, I actually like to call this my shrouded Japanese image processor tip. No,
Sorry.
No, what this tip essentially is about using image processor with Photoshop CS2, and use image processor to take your images or your photos and actually make them a different size or put them into a different format. Well, what we're going to do here is also change the resolution, and that's not part of image processor, but I'm going to show you how to do it here in Photoshop.
Are you going to use my same photo that's on the screen there?
No, Mr. Smarty Pants. I'm actually going to use these photos here.
It's Senior Smarty Pants to you.
Senior Smarty Pants. All right, so I've got Adobe Bridge open, and I've got some camera raw files. I want to run them through image processor, and I want to do that for two reasons. One, I'm going to email them to somebody. They're camera raw files, so unless this person can open raw files, I need to change the format. So I want to change them to a JPEG format. The other thing is they're way too big. If you check out the file properties here, you can see the dimensions, very large, but also we have 240 dpi. So I want to change the dimensions of the file, but I also want to change the resolution. I can't do that inside of image processor, so I have to do a little trick here in Photoshop. So what we'll do is flip over to Photoshop. I'm going to create a new file. I'm just going to create one of the presets here. It's 8 by 10 inches, and notice it sets a resolution to 300 pixels per inch. We'll click OK, and we'll go to the Actions palette, create a new action, and I'm going to call the action Resolution Change O. And
Change O. I like Resolution Change O.
Makes it sound more official.
Yes.
I'll click the Record button. Now, the first thing that I want to do here, the only step I want to do here, is just go to the Image menu, go to Image Size, change the resolution from 300 to 72. Click on OK, and then click Stop to stop recording the action. We'll flip back over into Bridge. So we've got our action recorded, Resolution Change-O. Now I'm going to select those 4 images, those 4 camera raw files in Bridge, go to Tools, Photoshop, Image Processor. It opens up a very large image processor window. And you see I selected these photos from Bridge, so it already has them selected in the top step here. Next thing we want to do is decide which folder we want to save them to. So I'm just going to go to my desktop. I'll make a new folder. We'll call this one Wacom.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Nice name for a folder. And
why don't you call it iStock Photo?
well, you know, the next time I'll create a folder called iStock. So we'll call this one Wacom, and click on OK. Then under File Type, save as JPEG, set the quality to 10. I'm going to resize it. Maximum width is going to be 800. Maximum height is going to be 600 pixels, and here's the trick. Go down to Preferences at the bottom, choose Run Action. For From the default actions, you can see I created my resolution change-o action. Click on that, and then just press run. And image processor is going to go through, process all those files. And it's going to create a new folder under Wacom for us called JPEG. Now I'm going to go find that JPEG folder, and when I open it up, you can see I've got 4 JPEG files in here. If I take one of these into Photoshop, you will indeed see that it was resized to 800 pixels in width, and look at that, the resolution was changed to 72. So if you need to change the resolution, you need to make an action first.
All right, thank you, Matt, for that resolution change-o tip.
It's a shrouded
in secrecy. All right. Okay, now let's take a look at the latest Photoshop news. All right, just in case you missed it, Adobe introduced a new version of Camera Raw, version 3.3, so Camera Raw 3.3. Now this new version is a beta version, meaning it's not the official release, so if you download it, you're basically testing it for Adobe, and if you find that it has any bugs in it, if you find any horrible bugs, you'll
send them to Scott Kelby.
Yeah, send them directly to me. No, of course you'll contact Adobe. But if you've got some of the brand new Olympus or Canon cameras and you can't open up raw images, go download that beta and then you'll be able to. Also, with the holiday season right around the corner, you're going to want to know that 3 very important Photoshop books just got updated for CS2. Sadly, none of them are my books. They're other people's books, but they're great books, so I have to tell you about them. Number 1, Bruce Fraser and David Blattner just updated their book, Real World Photoshop CS2. So make sure you check out that one. Also, Katrine Eisman just updated her very, very popular book, the Photoshop Restoration and Retouching, the 3rd edition of that book. And this other one is actually not an update, it's a brand new book. It's from our buddy Terry White. Terry has done a book on the Adobe Bridge. It's the entire book just on the bridge, and it's just coming out. It's brand new. It's all good and new and stuff.
Bridgy.
And bridgy. It's very bridgy. So those are the brand new books, and I've got one more news tip for you. And lastly, if you're a pro photographer, there's a brand new website that you want to see. Well, it's actually part of somebody else's website, but it's a new part of the website. It's the Pro Photo section on Microsoft.com. So go to Microsoft.com/ProPhoto, and you'll find a whole collection of not only information and inspiration, but tutorials and tips and things like that. In fact, one of my tutorials is up there. It's called 10 Little Known Tips about the Camera Raw in Photoshop CS2. So check that out right there at Microsoft.com/ProPhoto. All right, Matt, how about some news from you? What do you got?
Thanks, Scott. First, I've got some news on a product called Film Loop. Now, Film Loop is essentially a program you can download. It's for Windows only right now. It's not for the Mac yet. They're talking about releasing a version for the Mac in a couple months, but it's a program you download from filmloop.com, and it instantly broadcasts photos from your desktops to your entire network. So you can create a network of friends and family, coworkers, and it broadcasts your photos to them in this cool little film loop that's right on your desktop. Let's take a quick look here. So what you'll do is you'll go to filmloop.com, you'll download the program, install it to your computer, and it puts up this cool little kind of film loopy window up at the top here. And from here, you subscribe to different loops is what they're called. So if your friends have a photography loop and they put their photos on it, you can subscribe to it. And whenever he updates the photos, this will automatically update too. So you can see here right now I'm subscribed to a couple different loops. I've got one for photography. I've also got one for various news info. And over here I've got one for iStock photo, as a matter of fact.
What a coincidence.
Yes.
Ludicrous coincidence.
But you know, that actually is pretty cool, because if you use a lot of stock photography, you can just subscribe to iStock's film loop and it'll constantly scroll some images across the top of your screen, and you might see some that you never knew were there. Next up, I've got a great website for you. It's called Photoshop Support. It's at www.photoshopsupport.com. It's just a great website for basically anything relating to Photoshop. They've got tips, tutorials, and a lot of good news for Photoshop. So again, check it out at www.photoshopsupport.com.
All right, thank you, Matt. Now, you've probably heard us talk about our website, photoshoptv.com. Well, there's a message board on there, and we read those all the time. In fact, it's a very popular place to go to, especially if you want to find the links that we mentioned in the show. So go to photoshoptv.com, and the links are there. But here's the thing. There's also comments there, and one of the comments that we saw last week was, why don't you guys do like a real step-by-step tutorial on the pen tool? Now, if you're a graphic designer and you've been using Photoshop for years and years, you probably already know the pen tool. But if you're a photographer, it may be brand new to you. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little quick step-by-step tutorial on using the pen tool in Photoshop.
And this comes from a question that was on that.
It comes from a real question.
Because we care.
That's what I said. All right, the next time you have to make a selection of a touching instrument like this beautiful axe here, the pen tool is the thing to do. And let me just give you a little quick look here. Let's zoom in on the axe here. Ah, lovely. And what we're going to do is this. Grab the pen tool, and we're going to just click once. Now, what the pen tool does is kind of a no-brainer in most cases, is you just move your cursor someplace else, click, and it draws a straight line. Well, big deal. That's not very exciting. Where the pen tool really shines, though, is when you come to something that's not a straight line. Like, look at the curve here in the handle. All you do is you move to a curved spot, further down the curve, click, hold, and drag. And then as you drag out, you can make the curve perfectly fit that, just like that. So let's go up here and click and go right around that curve. Now, see how it went out a little too far? You'll be able to adjust that in just a minute. Let's go up here and click, hold, and drag, and go right around that handle, just like that. Then we'll come out here and click. All right, now you see how that jumped out? It jumped out over here too. You see how it jumped out? If that happens and it goes the wrong way, here's what you do, because this is going to happen to you a lot using the pen tool. First, undo. Press Command-Z on Mac or Control-Z on PC. Then you're going to hold the Option key on a Mac or the Alt key on a PC and click back on the point you just made. So Option, click, or on PC, Alt, click. Now you can easily change direction, and it doesn't cause you a problem. So anytime you run and it goes the wrong way, undo that step. Here, click, hold, and drag. Undo that step, and then go back and fix it by doing that little trick I just showed you. Let's click, hold here. Up. See how it went the wrong way? You know what to do. Undo, Option, click. Now you can click, hold, and drag and go in any direction you want. Okay, now let's head up here. Ooh, look at that. I'm going to zoom in so you can really see that. Look at that. So it went the wrong area? Bad. All right.
Bad pen.
Bad pen. Easily fixed. Undo. Option, click. And now straight lines. Very easy stuff. Like this. Go down here, and when you want to curve, you know what to do. Click, hold, and drag. Now we're going to Option, click to turn the corner. Pow. Then we'll just pull right around this corner. Watch. Move here. Click, hold, and drag. And then if we go here, you're going to get that little looping again. So undo, Option, click, or on PC, Alt, click. Then you can drag a nice little point right in there. All right, so let's finish this off. Now, you've got your path drawn all the way around it, but we're missing that area up here. If you need to adjust something, you can, of course, grab the Direct Selection tool. Just go up here and grab that little handle and go, no, no, no. Wasn't supposed to come out there. But if you zoom in, I'm going to recommend using a different tool. What you want to do is you want to make sure when you use the pen tool that you kind of dig a little into the object, in this case, the axe. So get the Pen Add Anchor Point tool. Because when you get close to the path, watch, it automatically turns to the Add Anchor Point. It lets you add an extra point. Now you can move it in. And if you get close to just an existing point, it automatically switches to the Direct Selection tool. So if you need to add a point, you just move right next to the path. And if you need to add a point there, you just add it. Just click and it adds it. So once you get all the way around it, and I recommend, nice the way I go right off the screen there. I recommend zooming in nice and tight once you have your original path down. And then to turn this thing into a selection when you have it just the way you like it, and this is a little close. There we go. See how the little path goes right around there? Oops, I need to add one right there. Pow. All right, when you want to turn this thing into a selection, all you do is on your keyboard, press Command Return on a Mac, or Control and Enter on a PC, and it makes a selection. So now you've made a selection around the object, and it's a nice, clean, smooth selection. Much smoother or cleaner than you'd ever get with the Magic Wand tool, and that's what's so wonderful about the pen tool. It's one of the many wonders of the pen tool right there. So let me just put it up on its own layer, and you can erase the background and see what a sloppy job I did. See, I missed a couple areas there, but that's the great thing about the pen tool. You can always go back to your path, bring it back live and say, I missed those areas there, so I'm going to adjust them. Click on the path, and dig a little bit into the skin of whatever it is that you're trying to get. In this case, it's the axe skin. Dig a little bit into it. So that way, when you make it a selection again, you can also click right here to make it a selection. Oops, right here, excuse me, right there, inverse and delete. All right, so there's a little quick tip on using the pen tool in Photoshop. So there you have it, the world's fastest pen tool tutorial. All right, now,
Is it click, hold, and drag?
Yeah, that's it, click, hold, and drag. Hey, just because Dave Cross isn't here doesn't mean that Dave Cross's trivia question isn't here, because Matt is carrying Dave's question of the week. What you got, Matt?
Dave has bestowed upon me the great honor of asking you, when was non-dialogue based, and what version of Photoshop was non-dialogue based editable text added? So in earlier versions of Photoshop, you didn't just be able to click and type, you had to actually open up a dialog box and put your text into it.
I remember those days.
What version did that change in?
What version? That's our trivia question. When we come back, we'll have the answer to that trivia question. We've got Larry Becker here with Nap News. We've got more tips, the winners of last week's giveaway, and stuff about this week's giveaway when we return in 30 seconds right here on Photoshop TV.
Photoshop training videos? You can learn at your own pace. Each of the titles is focused so you get just what you want. Leading Photoshop gurus and the best-selling authors on the planet are your featured instructors. And the great thing is that with Fast Forward and Rewind, you learn at the speed that's right for you. Just stop by photoshopvideos.com.
Alrighty, we're back. So I'm Scott Kelby, this is Matt Kloskowski, and Matt's got the trivia answer for you.
Got the trivia answer. Okay, so the question was, what version of Photoshop was non-dialogue based editable text in? So when did you actually have to stop editing text into a dialogue?
That was in case you forgot the question we asked 30 seconds ago.
Okay. Well, Dave Cross always repeats
I know he always, but that's the way he is. He's Canadian.
I know. Where's Dave Cross?
He's in San Francisco, anyway. Alcatraz, I believe. Go ahead.
Okay, let's get to the end. The answer is version 6. So version 6 was the first version where you could actually take the text tool, click, and start typing away.
All right, now we've got Larry Becker here from the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. Larry's the executive director, and he's got the Nap Minute, news about Nap for Nap members. Larry, thank you for joining us. What's the 1 minute of news?
1 minute, I think we're going to go over a little bit. I want to talk about the Photoshop Seminar Training Tour that we've got. We've got Ben Wilmore. He's going to be in a couple of cities. He's coming to Fort Lauderdale on November 29th.
Hold on, did you see his teleprompter?
Okay.
That's what we use. It's sad. Go ahead.
So Fort Lauderdale on the 29th of November, and in Jacksonville on Wednesday, December 7th. And then also we have Dave Cross coming to Arlington, Texas.
Dave Cross with the Photoshop Power Tour.
That's right. He'll be there on December 2nd.
He'll be in Arlington, but for those of you who don't live in Arlington, think of it as Dallas.
Also, I want to talk a little bit about Digital Canvas Awards. You need to go to digitalcanvasawards.com and make sure that you sign up. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of prizes there, not to mention a trip to, well, I'm mentioning it now, a trip to France for the winner.
A trip to France.
That's right. And the winner actually gets to design the cover of our magazine, Photoshop User.
I have a copy of it right here.
That's right. So you get to design this cover.
France.
Well, you can design it before you go and just have a hell of a vacation.
It's true, and take anybody you want, because you get to go, and he said a bad word, but we don't care. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, censors aren't watching this real closely.
That's a great thing. It's like the Stern Show. This is very much like the Stern Show. Go ahead.
Okay, back to my teleprompter. So there are 11 categories. There are 11 categories.
Oh, my producer's crying.
What's great
Go
is
ahead.
in each category, there are $2,500 worth of prizes. And so everybody that wins in their category gets like a Wacom tablet and one of the spiders that we had here earlier. Yeah, sweet.
I had one here.
And $500 worth of books from PeachBit, all kinds of Photoshop and computer books. Yeah, all kinds of things. So $2,500 worth of prizes per category. Plus the trip to Paris.
Okay.
Not per person.
There we go. What else you got? Any other Nap News? Because we're already over a minute.
Okay. So that's it. We got Photoshop World coming up in South Beach in March, And you can sign up now. We've actually opened up the website, so you can sign up now. So go to photoshopworld.com, and we'll see you in South Beach in Miami.
Any more cuss words before we go? No, we're good. All right, that's Larry Becker, the Executive Director of the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. Now it's time to see, we're going to bring Matt back here in a second, and we're going to see exactly who won last week's Wacom tablet. So that's coming up right now with Matt Kloskowski, who will be rocking the house key.
You're damn right.
All right, well, Scott was in Japan last week and apparently ate too much sushi or something, because the contest last week was not a Wacom tablet. That was the week before. The contest last week was the Adobe bag. It was 3 autographed books that may or may not decrease or increase the value of those books. And then finally, there was a pass to any Photoshop seminar that you want to go to. So that's the prize. The winner of last week's contest was Justin Waskovich, and he's from Riverview, Florida, which is just a couple minutes south of where I live. So congratulations, Justin. You'll be getting an email soon about your prize and all your information. And also, there were 10 winners of the Photoshop TV t-shirts. These guys, look, Ma, no hands. Oh, my co-host here. All right, well, the Photoshop TV t-shirt that just took up the screen, there are 10 people, you'll get an email notification. If you won, I'll get all your address info from you. So,
hey, and a guy won in France, right?
A guy won in France, yes. So we have an international winner of the Photoshop TV t-shirt. All right, so this week we got a new contest. So the winner of this week's contest wins the Spider 2 Pro.
Not just the Spider 2 Pro, but the Spider 2 Pro Studio. Ooh. But there's more.
What?
Oh, it's true. You also win a brand new DVD, a training DVD called Automating Photoshop CS2 by
my favorite person,
Matt Kloskowski,
yes.
Rocking the house key. He's got a brand new DVD, so you get not only this, but Matt's brand new DVD that is so new, we haven't even seen it. It's just new stuff. So where do they send their entries, Matt?
They send their entries to Photoshop TV at photoshopuser.com.
So Photoshop TV at photoshopuser.com. Send in your entries if you have the right answer to the trivia question.
Which is?
Oh,
okay. The trivia question this week is, what image would you use, or what filter would you use to turn this image into this image? So there's a filter in Photoshop CS2, Photoshop CS, 7, 2,
6,
all the way
1.
back. That's not an excuse. It's what filter would you use to turn this image into this image?
A better question is why would you want to turn that image into that image?
Well,
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Don't answer that one.
So that's our one. You know where to send the thing to. Photoshop TV at photoshopuser.com to enter. You must enter by next Friday, or actually this Friday. So enter by this Friday. We'll be choosing a winner, and we'll announce the winner on next week's show. Okay, we got time for just one more quick tip or two, and then we've got some other thing. I don't know what it is. But here's a tip from Matt.
All right, thanks, Scott. Got a great little kind of tippy kind of tutorial here for you. Some shots I took in Japan last week. I created a panorama out of them, so I'll show you how I did that. But when I get done, these were night shots, and I'm going to show you the coolest little trick to make your night shots with a lot of lights in them just pop off of the screen. All right, so I've got some photos open that I took in Japan last week. It was a night shot, but it was also, I created it with creating a panorama in mind. So I did all the things you're supposed to do. Shot it vertically, shot it on a tripod, very important here. We shot it at night. And I also shot it in manual mode. And finally, I turned off auto white balance. So I did the things you're supposed to do. It turned out to be a nice pano. I'm just going to select the images here. To create a pano in Photoshop, just to choose Tools, go down to Photoshop, or this is Bridge, by the way. Go down to Photoshop and choose Photo Merge. Photoshop works its magic in the background and stitches all the photos together for you. And it does a pretty good job here. So I'm not going to tweak it in here. I'm just going to click OK, and I'm going to show you the tip here. Now, this looks like a great pano. It stitched the photos together very well, but check this out. There's a way we can make this pop off the screen. Right now, if you look at it, it kind of looks a little bit dull. The lights are a little bit dull.
I was just thinking that. It looks dull.
It looks dull. The lights, no. The lights are a little bit dull. The color's a little unsaturated here. All you got to do is duplicate the layer. Just press Control-J. And then, watch this. Go to the Blend Mode menu. Scroll down to Overlay. Check that out. It makes the lights pop off the screen. It also, it's shining at me now. It really makes the image pop off the screen, but it also takes those blacks and it really makes them a lot blacker. So it turns a nice ordinary night shot into a really sharp photo here.
Well done, young Matthew.
Thank you, sir.
All right, one last important thing before we go. I'm working on a book right now. In fact, I'm just about to finish it. It's literally about ready to go to press. It's called the Photoshop Channels book. And it's about, well, using channels in Photoshop. And I want to make sure that when this book does go to press in just a few days, that I've covered every single thing that you guys want in the book, because I'm writing the book for you. So if you will send me an email with any ideas that you have or anything that you want about channels, about Photoshop channels is what I want to say, anything that you want to make sure that I've included in the book, make sure you send me an email. Send your emails to skelby@photoshopuser.com, and in the subject line put channels book, so I know that you're sending me an idea about the channels book. Well, that's it for this week's show. I want to thank my co-host here, Matt Kluskowski.
Thank you, everybody.
And I want to thank Dave Cross, who's not here today. We're in the missing man formation.
We could say good day, A.
Good day, A to Dave
Cross,
and who single-handedly represents the entire country of Canada for us here at NAP. Thanks again. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week on Photoshop TV from the National Association of Photoshop Professionals.